Hey there viewers, welcome back to another episode of Ray of All Trades. Today we are working on a Kohler sv-715. It's the 22 horsepower version. Going to be doing a tune-up and oil change to it. This one just happens to be sitting on a Troy-built XP. Tools and parts you're going to need: oil pan, catch everything, small oil filter wrench, 7/16 wrench, a pair of channel locks just to back up the hose if it's too tight. The kit that I picked up comes with a fuel filter, 2 spark plugs, oil filter, air filter, and pre-filter, and we're going to need 2 quarts of 10W30. Let's get to it. After the mower's good and warm, engine's good and warm, grab the box end wrench, put it on the nut and the plug, back it up with a pair of channel locks or another wrench, loosen this up, make sure you have a pan underneath and rags to catch anything, and let's get the oil out of it. Let that drain for a little while. Okay, once all that stopped draining, just make sure everything's clean. It looks like at least a couple of quarts of oil came out of it. Grab the plug, thread it back in. Does not have to be overly tight, but you're going to want to back up here. By back up, I mean grab the outside so it doesn't spin, is what I mean by back up. So just tighten this up. Again, it doesn't take a whole lot of pressure. You can see I'm choked way up on that wrench. Snug it up. Alright, that's it for getting the oil out of the pan. Now let's get the oil filter off. Okay, oil filter. I want to try to catch as much of that as possible, so I usually take a rag, stuff it down in here underneath the filter. Let's take this oil filter off. So it's using a wrench, unscrewing the oil filter. Once I get it completely out, I'm going to turn it up so that any oil that's still there is going to try to stay inside the filter. And pull it up right through here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I'm sure the shadows are messing with me today. Let's wipe off that surface that the filter bolts to, screws to. I'm going to coat the new oil filter, pull off this plastic, coat this with some oil before we put it back on. And what I usually do is take a cap full of oil, dip my finger in there, grab the oil filter, and just give it a good coat. Helps the oil filter come off next time. Make sure that my surface down here is good and clean. Careful not to pick up any dirt as I'm putting the oil filter back in place. I'll try to thread that back on. Yes, I'm sure my arm and the shadows and everything else are in the way today. I apologize. Now on oil filters and oil changes, I always try to put the hours on the filter so we knew when it was done last. So let's turn this on. Looks like 272 hours. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm trying. It's probably upside down for you guys. It's 272, so I'm going to put today's date and 272 hours on a piece of tape and stick it to the oil filter. So if you're scared if it's going to attach to the filter because of too much oil, just hit it with some brake cleaner. Once that evaporates, I put a sticker on there. This helps us see when the last time it was. Next thing we're gonna do is a fuel filter. It's a pump style, so honestly it's not gonna come running out if you forget to clamp it off. But I try to just clamp it off with a soft-sided clamp, just so I lose minimal. Grab these hose clamps, slide them back. So they are directional, so you want to make sure that, and it's talking about coming from the tank to the carburetor or to the fuel pump. So this is from tank to fuel pump, goes that direction. So let's twist this one out of here. Move that side on, all the way in. That one out. All the way in. Because this has air in it now, you potentially may have to crank for a couple extra seconds longer than you're used to doing. So I'll put the clamps back in and release these two clamps. There we go, fuel filter's done. We can go ahead and pull this rag out of here. Let's go ahead and get 2 quarts of oil put in this thing. Goes right into the dipstick. I buy my oil in larger capacities, so I always look on the outside of the jug where my 2 quart mark is, so that I know when I'm done filling it. For the air filter, what I like to do, grab a compressed air hose and try to clean around it, that way nothing comes free. And I do that before I pull the filter off. So this one, the clamp moves forward and out, lift up, and grab a filter and package it. This has what's called a pre-filter on it, which is this foam right here. That foam is supposed to have a light coat of oil on it. So what I generally do is I take a small cap full of oil, just make a quick thin line on it, and then gently just massage it back in. All it's trying to do is add a little bit of oil to the outside of that filter. It helps with attracting dirt to not go into your filter. Wrap it back on the filter, just so that it centers up on there. And drop it in place. Should be able to clamp back on, close that up. Now we're on to spark plugs. This yellow thing is my light to help you guys see. Pull that off. We've got a 5/8 deep well socket on a ratchet. Always read the plug when it comes out. This one's running a little bit rich. Not that concerning. I like them a little bit rich because they run cooler. Check the gap of the old one. So right at 26. Check the gap of the new one. Right at, yep, I'm sorry, I meant to say 27. Right at 27. Put those in by hand. You can do a couple things. If you can't reach this by hand, you can take a small piece of fuel line, plug it, put it on the end of the plug, and you can use the fuel line as your handle. Make sure you have a positive clip when that goes on. Let's get the other side changed. Plug loop. I have to do now is start it up, check the oil level. Little choke. I'm gonna keep my feet away, stay out of the shot. Keep my feet away from the blades. Little choke. Start it up. Started up, kept running. It tells me I had a fuel supply. Check my oil level. And I'm reading at the full mark, 2 quarts. As with any mower, I mean that's it for the engine. As with any mower, you want to check grease fittings, check hydraulic levels, check tire pressure, sharpen the blades, all that. I'm getting ready to sharpen the blades on this. I'm sure you guys don't want to watch that. That's it for the spring tune-up on the Kohler Courage. That's it for the spring tune-up on the Courage sv-715. 2 quarts of oil, set of plugs, air filter, pre-filter, fuel filter, yeah, doesn't take much. Keep these things running, and I'll link the kit in the description so that you guys can order the same one if you want. So far I'm impressed. So I'm going to go through and check the air pressure on the tires, check for grease fittings, and sharpen the blades, and call this one good for the season. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I really appreciate it. If you got something out of the video, as always, appreciate a thumbs up, and smash that subscribe button so you get notified whenever new videos pop up. And thanks for hanging out with me for the day, guys.